Warm feet make the whole body feel good. And when your feet feel warm, your entire body feels warm and comfortable. Introducing the Raychem QuickNet Electric Floor Warming System from Tyco Thermal Controls. Simply install the QuickNet heating cable between the ceramic tile or natural stone and the subfloor, and let the comfort begin. You will love the comfortable feeling of walking on a heated tile or stone floor. QuickNet is an electric floor warming system designed for installation directly under ceramic tiles or natural stone. It provides ideal comfort heating in your bathroom, kitchen, entryway, or other indoor tiled areas. QuickNet's compatibility with all standard subflooring materials and its low 3/16" 3mm profile make it ideal for renovation and new construction applications. The QuickNet floor warming system includes a blue heating cable woven into an adhesive-backed red fiberglass mesh that allows for simple roll-out installation without worrying about heating cable spacing. The floor warming mats are pre-terminated for use with 120 or 240 volt and are available in various lengths of 20-inch widths. The mat emits no measurable electromagnetic fields due to a shielded dual conductor design and requires only one cold lead connection, making it easy to lay out and install. Your QuickNet package comes with a QuickNet floor warming mat with a 10-foot cold lead, a QuickStat thermostat, a 10-foot floor temperature sensor, installation instructions for installing the mat, and installation instructions for installing and programming the thermostat. The QuickStat thermostat includes built-in ground fault circuit interrupter or GFCI protection to prevent electric shock as required by national electrical codes. The programmable thermostat switches the system on and off to ensure a comfortable floor temperature when you want it. Depending upon the specifics of your installation, the QuickNet floor warming system can maintain floor temperatures up to 85 degrees Fahrenheit or more. QuickNet floor warming mats can be used on typical interior floor constructions using tile or natural stone. The typical construction is either a wooden subfloor or a concrete slab. For installation on a wooden subfloor, it is typical to have backer board, the QuickNet mat, and floor temperature sensor embedded in a mortar bed, covered with thin-set mortar, and finally, ceramic tile and grout. Although the use of backer board is preferred, QuickNet mats can be installed directly on the wooden subfloor if desired. For installation on a concrete slab, it is typical to have the QuickNet mat and floor temperature sensor embedded in a mortar bed, covered with thin-set mortar, and finally, ceramic tile and grout. In this video, we will cover important safeguards and warnings, tools and materials, choosing the correct QuickNet size, electrical rough-in, installing the QuickNet mat, installing the QuickStat thermostat, programming the QuickStat thermostat. This video will show a preferred installation on a wooden subfloor. Other installation methods and details are noted in the QuickNet installation manual and the QuickStat thermostat installation and operation manual. This video is not intended to replace the manuals, and it's important that you thoroughly review these manuals before you begin installation. If the QuickNet mat is damaged or not installed properly, fire or shock could occur, resulting in serious personal injury or damage to property. Follow these warnings and instructions. The QuickStat thermostat must be used. It has a ground fault circuit interrupter to prevent electric shock. The QuickNet system must be installed by qualified personnel familiar with generally accepted construction techniques and safe electrical practices. The installation must comply with all national and local electrical codes. If you're unfamiliar with these requirements, contact a licensed electrician. Electric wiring and the heating mat will be installed in the floor. Be sure that the floor is not penetrated by nails, screws, and debris that can cause damage on first installation or during subsequent floor repairs in the future. If the QuickNet system is damaged during installation, contact your local distributor or the place where you purchased your QuickNet system for the QuickNet RK repair kit. The QuickNet heating cable cannot be cut, crossed over itself, or installed closer than the spacing in the mat. Note these important guidelines when installing the QuickNet mat. QuickNet mats are designed to be installed beneath ceramic tile or natural stone surfaces. Do not install beneath wooden, carpeted, linoleum, or other type floors. Be sure the subfloor is clean, rigid, level, and free of cracks. Do not step directly on or damage the heating cable during installation. Do not install the QuickNet mat across expansion joints. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for installing the mortar bed, thin-set mortar, tile, and natural stone. You will require the following items to install and test the floor warming system: scissors, utility knife, wire strippers, tape measure, screwdriver, multimeter with clip leads. You will also need the appropriate tools and materials to install your particular floor. These will likely include products like self-leveling mortar, thin-set mortar, backer board and tile, a notched trowel, and any other tools for your specific floor. QuickNet comes in various sizes, designed to fit the heated area of any floor. To determine what mat size you need, measure the total area of the room and subtract the areas that contain permanent fixtures, as well as any areas you do not want warmed. For example, the total area of this bathroom is 75 square feet. When you subtract the 12 square feet for the vanity, shower, and toilet, the heated area is only 63 square feet. Since you must choose a mat that is no larger than the heated area, you would choose our 60 square foot mat. The available supply voltages for QuickNet are 120 or 240 volts. Select the appropriate mat for the power being supplied. Select a spot for the thermostat in the wall above the heated area where it can be reached by the 10-foot cold lead on the QuickNet mat and the 10-foot floor temperature sensor. Determine the optimum floor warming mat layout to ensure coverage in the areas you most want heated. The electrical rough-in must be done by qualified personnel familiar with generally accepted construction techniques and safe electrical practices. The installation must comply with all national and local electrical codes. If you're unfamiliar with these requirements, contact a licensed electrician. First, confirm the power supply is either 120 or 240 volt, depending on the mat you choose. The floor warming system must be connected to an appropriate sized electrical circuit. Refer to the product selection table on pages 8 and 9 in the QuickNet installation manual for individual mat current levels. Ground fault protection is provided by the QuickStat thermostat. Therefore, you can use a conventional circuit breaker. Install the electrical junction box for the thermostat at a convenient height, typically 5 feet above the floor and within reach of the cold lead and the floor temperature sensor. Drill or cut a hole through the wall sill plate under the electrical junction box location. You will use this hole to route the cold lead and the floor temperature sensor wire to the electrical junction box. Be sure the floor area to be heated is clean, flat, and free of debris that can damage the mat, such as nails, staples, or protruding objects. Lay out the mat according to your design, using as few turns as possible and ensuring that the cold lead is near the electrical junction box location. Remove the clear plastic lining and roll out the mat with the adhesive side down to temporarily hold it in place. To make a turn in the direction the mat is being installed, cut the mesh with the scissors, being careful not to damage the heating cable. Align the mat in the desired direction, ensuring that the adhesive side of the mat is down, and continue to roll it into position. Position the cold lead as close as possible to the wall near the electrical junction box. It must be routed outside of the heating mat, never under or over the heating cable, and must not protrude higher than the heating mat. If the splice is higher than the mat, you must gouge out the subfloor to allow the splice to lay flat under the tile. Run the cold lead inside the wall to the electrical junction box. It's important to position the cord label on the cold lead inside the electrical junction box. If it's necessary to shorten the cold lead, be sure to store the cord label in the junction box. Center the floor temperature sensor between two runs of the heating cable, 4 inches from the end of the heating cable loop. Run it inside the wall to the electrical junction box location. Perform the insulation resistance test, the heating cable resistance test, and the sensor resistance test before you embed the mat in mortar to confirm that the heating cable and the floor sensor have not been damaged. To perform the insulation resistance test, connect the ground wire to the black lead and both power wires to the red lead of the multimeter. Make sure the meter reads open or OL. Record those readings on the commissioning record. A low value indicates the mat has been damaged and must be repaired. You may contact your local distributor for a QuickNet RK repair kit. To perform the heating cable resistance test, set your multimeter to the 200 ohm range. Connect the multimeter leads to the black and white cold lead wires. Compare this resistance reading to the resistance specified in the product selection table on pages 8 and 9. The value should be within plus or minus 10%. Record these readings on the commissioning record. To perform the sensor resistance test, set your multimeter to the 200K ohm range. Connect the multimeter leads to the red and green wires. Make sure the meter reads between 9 and 25K ohms. Record these readings on the commissioning record. Embed the floor warming mat in mortar. Apply a thin coat of self-leveling mortar over the mat. Be sure to use the flat side of the trowel to avoid any damage to the mat. Spread the mortar evenly over the mat, filling in all voids between the floor, the mesh, and heating cable. Once the surface is smooth and even, allow it to cure to a hard surface before installing the tile or stone. Repeat the insulation resistance test, the heating cable resistance test, and the sensor resistance test to ensure that the heating cable and floor sensor have not been damaged during the application of the mortar. To install the tile or stone, apply a layer of acrylic or latex modified thin set using the notched side of your trowel. Tile and grout the floor using best industry practices and in accordance with instructions provided by the manufacturer. Do not power the QuickNet heating mat until the thin set and grout is fully cured. Repeat the insulation resistance test, the heating cable resistance test, and the sensor resistance test to ensure that the heating cable and floor sensor have not been damaged during the installation of the tile. The QuickStat thermostat must be installed by qualified personnel in accordance with all national and local electrical codes. Before you begin wiring the thermostat, turn off the power to the circuit at the main power panel to avoid electric shock. Use a screwdriver to remove the cover from the thermostat. Twist the ground wires and connect them with a wire nut. Connect power to the thermostat's line terminals marked L1, L, and L2, N. Connect the floor warming cold lead to the load terminals marked Load 16A, Max. Connect the floor temperature sensor to the screwless terminals marked Sensor. Push on the terminal spring with a screwdriver and insert the wires. Then, mount the thermostat in the box and reattach the cover.